So it's Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. I'd like to be joined by a top welterweight, Michael McKinson. Michael, how you doing, mate?
Number one welterweight in the country. No, good, the sun's out. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, when they brought the show to Bournemouth last summer, I was out in Texas. It was, I think, the week before I boxed Ortiz. I remember sitting with a team, a little bit jealous, you know, the big time boxing's come to the South Coast. I'm an hour down the road and I wanted to be on it, and very grateful and privileged to nearly a year later I'm actually a part of this show, so I'm very excited.
Hugely creditable performance against Virgil Ortiz Jr. You didn't say Victor, did you? I think it's just me getting it wrong. Virgil Ortiz, you fought twice since, it'll be 3 at the weekend. He hasn't fought at all. What does that say about you? Because a lot of people in your position would say, I'm only doing big fights now, I'm a big star now, but you're happy to get back in, you've been in loads.
The most important thing for me was not to end 2022 with that loss to Ortiz. So I managed to get out with a good level, credible opponent in December. I decided to stay warm and stay active and fight again in March, and got a TKO as well that people noticed. But yeah, the important thing for me, I'm in the best years of my life right now. I turned 29 last month, and I just want to stay busy because I know the level I can compete at. You know, so obviously I didn't look out of place against Ortiz. So that's the level I want to get back to. So in the meantime, I've got to earn the right again. I've got to keep fighting, keep staying warm, keep winning, and keep looking good.
Are you at all disappointed that he hasn't been out since and really capitalised on what happened? Because it makes you look good in reflection if he's blasting everyone else out.
Sure, obviously, was due to fight for the WBA title, and that Stanionis, that got rescheduled because he keeps getting unwell. You know, hopefully, I think, was it July? Is it July the 8th? He gets the fight for that. Hopefully, he goes and beats Stanionis, which I believe he does, and hopefully in less than 9 rounds too.
We're going to talk about another big fight that's tentatively scheduled for July, but let's talk about you a bit more first. Everything being well on Saturday night, what's the plan for the rest of the year? Because we want to see you back in those big fights as much as you're happy to be active.
I'm very vocal that I want the big fights. I'm UK's number one, so I deserve the big fights. I deserve to obviously have these big fights again. But firstly, I just want to say how grateful I am to be a part of this event, to Ben Shalom, Boxer, Sky Sports, Joe from K4 Global. They've all played a part in allowing me this opportunity to showcase my skills. I feel unbelievable to be here, firstly. Like, what a great setup that they put on. My job is to turn some heads on the weekend, you know, like really stand out on the weekend, which I believe I will. That's my mission. But you know, the big fights are there. It's just all time in it. Like, everyone knows if they call me, the answer's yes. The answer's yes. I'm UK's number one for a reason. But I've just got to stay on my lane, keep winning, full focus on my opponent this weekend. Like a good, credible opponent in Levin Morales. It's going to be a dangerous fight, but a fight I'm confident that I'll get through, look good, and then move on.
I alluded to another big welterweight fight taking place in July. It's been reported, I think, last night that finally we're likely to see Terence Crawford and Errol Spence throw down at the end of the month. What do you make of it, and I guess who comes out on top? I've asked you before, but your opinion might have changed since.
You could argue they're 2 of the 3 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. Definitely 2 in the top 5, both of them, in my eyes. It is one of them pick-em fights, and I've stayed on the fence a long time. If I had to bet my last pound, I would bet on Crawford. He's not very big for 147. I was out in when I fought Ortiz in Texas. He was there in fight week, and he wasn't that big, but he's an unbelievable fighter, and I would never bet against him.
Talking of other big fights, and this can't be considered in the same breath as that, but we saw some, you might consider it staged, you might consider it real, but we saw a fracas at ringside at the weekend in Dublin between Conor Benn, someone you've talked about in the past, of course, and Kell Brook, who we understood was retired. First of all, how much of it do you consider authentic? Do you think that was a real thing that happened between them?
It could be... I don't know. I believe it was staged, but I don't know why, because I don't think it does Conor any like justice, really, because if I was him, I'd want the British public back on my side. You know, that thing's tarnished his name a little bit, but I think starting that thing with Kell Brook, it doesn't look good for him. But if it builds to a big fight later on in the year, then fair play to him. It's not something that I've really wasted any energy on. I see it, but I don't really care what's going on about them. I'm focused on myself, I'm focused on my career, and I'm focused on my path right now. If them fights ever come in the future, I'll be happy, but for the time being, it's really nothing to do with me.
With that in mind, focusing on yourself, what do you want? Is it a particular title shot? Is it a particular opponent? You know, what's on your hit list?
Levin Morales on Saturday. It's a very dangerous fighter, an unknown guy, but like very dangerous, like they all are. I don't like taking easy fights. As you know, I don't like taking easy fights. In December, when I fought in Portsmouth last time, I got offered a journeyman to fight, and I said no, give me Ariarza over 6 rounds. But I have to be in fights with dangerous people to make myself look good, and I believe I'm a world-class fighter. So full focus is on Saturday. I'm sure you'll grab me for an interview afterwards if you're about, and then we can do something a little bit more spicy, because people know that I'm here for the big fights. People know I'm vocal about it, but at the moment I'm focused on this Morales. Get the job done, look good, not just win, but look good, and then we move on.
So on Saturday night here in Bournemouth, we may see a knockout and a call-out.
Well, if obviously I fought out in Rome 8 weeks ago. I got a TKO win there, so I think my man strength's coming at the age of 29.
Brilliant. Mate, wishing you the very best of luck, and yeah, look forward to speaking to you afterwards.